Understand my disposition. Not only my position, but my disposition. Because there are some things that I cannot control. That's what you need to place in your head each time you're dealing with people. A lot of the time we believe people are making the choices that they seem to make. But remember, you have physics and you have metaphysics. You have cause and effect. Metaphysics being cause, physics being the effect. So while it may appear on the surface that we are in full control, my oh my, will you be surprised when you find out what's going on behind the scenes, right in front of you. The veil on the other side, that's where the business goes down. Why do I bring the disposition thing up anyway? Well, you got to consider something. I'll give you an example. And I'm talking in numerological terms here. You're number one, meaning the number one, prevails dominantly in your life. You will be someone who is very egotistic by nature. You will be a born leader. You might have a stroke of arrogance to you. Very strong-headed, many good qualities. And one thing that numerology has taught me is that there are positive aspects and there are negative aspects to traits. A lot of us like to dwell on the positive or dwell on the negative. But when you actually know of the duality of this universe or whatever you call it, you realize that things can be looked at as a positive and a negative. That one thing, for example, if you have a strong sexual vibration, a positive aspect of that would be to transmute it, to practice alchemy. And it's nothing fancy. There's no laboratories, no special herbs or nothing. Simply practicing that alchemy would be to transfer that sexual energy into giving energy, being of service to others, using that energy stored in your kundalini to do something for others as opposed to yourself. Sex. That's an example. I'm not talking about being celibate and all of that, and that's probably a rubbish example. There are many, many other examples, but the point I'm making is that one particular aspect has a positive and a negative. Positive being selfless, negative being selfish. But remember, we always have to find the balance. Speaking of balance, you have the number one now that's very egotistical and very, very self-centered. And then you have the number 9. The number 9 is all about altruism. The number 9 is selfless. The number 9 is a humanitarian, spiritual. Not to say the number 1 is not good and the number 9 is better. But what you can see here are two ends of the scale, two extremes. You have 1 and 9. You have 2 and 8. You have 3 and 7. You have 4 and 6. And what are you left with? 5. Now, 5 is the magic number. And that's a number that prevails dominantly in my life. So as a result, as a 5, you encapsulate all the qualities and traits of the other numbers, or a bit of each number. So by definition, you are versatile. You have a broad scope. You're able to sympathize and empathize with each number in that scale, including yours, because you've been there, because you are there. The other numbers are on one side of the scale, be it left or right. The 5 is dead in the center. So you'll find a lot of number 5s will be able to pick up such information that I'm picking up now, particularly when it comes to personalities, because they have a bit of everything. I have a bit of ego. I have a bit of humanitarianism. I have a bit of materialism. I have a bit of spiritualism. I have a bit of security, being a king of my house, making my house secure. All those things goes into a 5. But what many people may not tell you is that as a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, a number 4, a number 6, a number 7, a number 8, a number 9, you can merge yourself into the 5. But don't blame yourself if you cannot, because of our disposition. I see one man or woman who has traits that I may see in myself, but I am able to transmute them through alchemy. That is simply rising above it. And you see them struggling. And it's a very painful thing to see and to bear witness to. And one thing I have really come to learn is that you cannot teach anyone, and nobody can teach you. Why? Because you have all the answers within. The reason why you may feel you have been taught is because somebody from the outside provided a spark. But I can tell you, you only learnt through what you know inside of you, because you took that spark and you made it into a fire. That's what learning is. That's what knowledge is. Anyone who knows because they've been told and that's it does not know. You only know because you've been told and you've processed it and you've actually transmuted it to your perspective, because that is your disposition. So bear that in mind. People are not the way they are because they choose to be. People are the way they are because that's how it has to be. We all have a lesson. So if I am a number 1, my lesson is to be a number 9. If I am a number 9, guess what? My lesson is to be a number 1. Why? Because your disposition is your challenge. Your disposition is the mission. That is it. So you will find if you are a clumsy person or you're unorganized, you were put in this realm at this time by your own choosing, whether you believe it or not, to alchemize that, if that's a word. You're supposed to transmute your traits. You are. People will do it on the surface, i.e. losing weight, putting on weight, cosmetic surgery, blah, blah, blah. And they forget about the inside. Your disposition is as it is because you were meant to beat it. Not because you're unfortunate. Not because the universe is sadistic. It's actually loving and it's for your own benefit. So always remember that you are not unfortunate. You are not this dysfunctional being. You are more than that. But you have carnated, carnal. You have come into this flesh in order to experience the challenges you experience and in order to beat them. And you'll see what will happen to you at the end once you've beaten them. And that is where the only choice is, actually. Are you going to beat it? There does come a time where you have to just face it and beat it. And then if not, yeah, then we can all have a go at you.